So investors, always an important force in any industry. Oil and gas is no exception. The last few years, upstream oil and gas has been through difficult times. I'm here with Laura Seamer, and Laura, great to see you.
Hi.
So Laura, what's your view on how investors are influencing the oil and gas players at this time?
Great question. Thank you, Paul. I think there's a huge shift in investor preference. We've seen a huge shift in investor distribution in oil and gas companies. We see an exodus of active investors from this industry, and we see the rise of index investors in oil and gas. And actually, the skepticism it's understandable, the skepticism of investors. It's a little bit understandable looking at the performance the oil and gas companies had over the last 5-10 years, huge levels of debt, pressure from energy transition, and how these companies are embracing energy transition and what they are doing in that space. So we really see a huge change in that space. Obviously, as investors exit the fossil fuels or they reduce their position, it is expected that there will be less capital flexibility in the industry, and companies will be exposed to greater challenges in investing in oil and gas, or even outside oil and gas in clean tech.
And Laura, turning to another question, we hear this term in the external press, greenwashing. It sounds like a skepticism, if you will, about the efforts being made by oil and gas companies in low carbon. How would you interpret that term and it's, what it means?
Well, I guess the reaction comes from the fact that the budgets that these companies, the bigger player in the industries, are putting into the low carbon space are still modest compared to their upstream capex. Nevertheless, these companies are forced to do so. They can't really invest massively in industries they know less, in technologies that are not yet proved. They still need to be de-risked. So companies need to find a viable way of investing in the low carbon space. They really need to understand what matches better their DNA as a company, and how can viably grow through these industries. So yes, the skepticism and the greenwashing position from some stakeholders, it's surely related to the budget these companies put into the space, but actually companies are quite limited on their capex, especially in a low price environment, and they need to take certain measures in investing, and capital discipline that they really apply in upstream needs to also apply in the low carbon space.
As you say, they're still finding their way a little bit, right? I guess trying to just find where it makes sense to sort of invest.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And I think at this stage they are in a testing mode. We see them invest in a broad range of sectors in the low carbon space, but obviously they need to understand where they are better at, what capabilities they can bring from upstream, what capabilities they can bring from energy. And we'll see these companies actually choosing one or two ways in which they want to reduce their carbon footprint and grow in the low carbon space.
Well, thanks Laura, thanks for your time, your insights today. It's been great speaking to you. Thanks.